Hey everyone, Miss Reimer here with Music Teacher Message. For this Teacher Tip Tuesday, I want to talk about recorders. So every year it seems I change how I teach recorders a little bit. This year there was something kind of big that I changed, and I wanted to talk through what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. When I started teaching recorder, I thought back to how I did it when I was a student. And we would play in class and we would take our recorders home, and then we got to practice them at home and come back and bring them back to school. Now, when I was a student, I thought this was great. I loved playing the recorder, I wanted to play it more at home, and I remembered to bring it back to class. However, that's not the case with every kid. At my old school, the teacher before me had collected a lot of recorders from past students. So in our district, the parents pay for the book and the recorder, and at the end of the recorder unit, any kids who didn't want their recorder could donate it back to the music classroom. This was kind of nice because when kids would forget their recorders, then there was one in class that they could use. This was great because a kid wouldn't lose out on an entire week's worth of learning because they didn't have their recorder for that one music class that you get every week. Now, what I didn't love about this was that kids who made a genuine mistake would have to play on somebody else's old recorder. And even though we sanitize it, I didn't love that idea. I wouldn't want to play on somebody else's recorder, I don't think. So it wasn't ideal. But like I said, it kept the learning going. And they knew that if they didn't bring their recorder, they would have to play on, like I said, a sanitized recorder, but they would have to play on one that belonged to the music room. Now, this school is brand new. It opened 1 year ago. This is our second year of existing. And so we don't have a lot of things. One thing we don't have any extras of is recorders. So there aren't past kids who had played recorder and are done with it and donated it back. So last year, if a kid forgot their recorder, they were just out of luck. And I would have them practice on their fingers, but that's not the same as having a recorder in your hands and playing during class. So I didn't love that kids were losing out on learning because they didn't bring their stuff to class. Now, I asked myself, did these kids genuinely forget their stuff, or were they aware that there weren't any extras? And if they forgot their recorder, then they wouldn't have to play in music class. And I guess I don't know the answer to that, and I guess I don't want to know the answer to that. I would like to think it was all genuine mistakes. But you never really know. We also had a number of kids last year who completely lost their recorder. I can think of 2 off the top of my head, but I think 3. And I don't know that that's ever happened before. If you need your recorder every single week for music class, how do you lose it? I don't know. So then it was a little awkward with, we had a parent who wanted to buy their kid a second recorder. We didn't have any extras, so it's like, do you buy one off Amazon? How many more weeks in the unit are we doing recorders? It just became a little awkward. So that was something that I never really had to deal with before either, and I guess I wasn't prepared for that. And that brings us to this year. This year I decided I needed to make some changes. So this year, as my big experiment with recorders, I decided to have the kids leave their books and their recorders in my room until we are completely done with the unit. Now, the downside of that is that the kids who genuinely wanted to take their recorders home and show it to somebody at home and practice couldn't do that until we were done with the unit. But there were definitely some benefits to this as well. I loved that when a kid forgot that it was their music day, they weren't unprepared for class. Their book and their recorder just lived in here for the first 9 weeks of school. And it was really nice that they were always prepared, and we just didn't have to deal with, how are we going to sanitize this? It's already been sanitized. The kid doesn't believe it's already been sanitized. They want to sanitize it again. And that was always very distracting in a 50-minute music class to have to deal with all of that. when you're trying to get all of the other kids playing. It was nice not having kids like last year just kind of sitting there using their fingers and going and so it was good to have the learning continue, no matter what the other circumstances were. So I guess the $1,000,000 question is, would I do it this way again? Would I have my kids leave their stuff in my classroom? And I think the answer, right now at least, is yes. I loved that they were able to continue playing. Nobody was unprepared for class. Nobody didn't have materials. It was great. And, I think the number of kids who actually bring their recorder home and practice is probably pretty slim. Even when we had assignments every week and like playing tests and stuff, a lot of kids just weren't doing it. And so this year I wanted to take a little more of a chill approach to recorder. And I think it paid off. I think kids didn't hate the recorder, which I've had in the past. And I'm not sure if it's because they had to remember to bring their stuff, if they didn't like having playing tests. I'm not sure what the problem was. But I think this year I had more kids enjoy the recorder. And when it was time to send them home last week, I had a lot of kids who were excited and were actually sad that the unit was over. And I said, you can continue playing at home, and if you have questions, bring it to me and stuff like that. So I think having them leave their stuff here worked well. I think we'll do it again in the future. I guess I've never considered having the kids leave their stuff in my room because I always had, I hate to call it homework, but yeah, I had a song that I wanted them to practice and master before they saw me the next week. And so I needed them to bring their stuff home to learn it and then bring it back and show me what they've learned. What I've found is that a lot of kids aren't willing to do that. They forget, they don't care, I don't know what the problem is. But I found that kids worked a lot harder on recorder this year, in class, than they did in the past. And I think maybe because it was new and exciting still when it was left here. They could only play it when they were here with me. And I think the kids reacted in a way that I really liked and that I would like to see again in the future. I think that'll do it for today's Teacher Tip Tuesday. If you've got any questions for me or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.